All right, welcome to another expert interview. They all start the same way. I'm always excited for our guests. I get to talk to the most amazing people. We get to have really fun conversations. And as always, we pack as much value in as we can. Today is no exception. And I get to go back in time to when I had a digital agency and loved this stuff. I am not as up to date as I used to be. So I'm excited to dig in. And I'm sure we're going to end up talking about AI's impact on this world as well. Without further ado, Jason, tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do, and then we'll dive in.
Sure. Name's Jason Gates. I'm a search marketing consultant, primarily deal with mid-market enterprise clients. And the way I typically work with folks is I work with either their in-house marketing team or their in-house SEO teams. And I'll bring that wide angle view that I've had in the SEO world for so many years and merge that with their depth of knowledge within their organization.
That's awesome, man. And let's just dive in. What's trending in SEO? I feel like it's an industry that is changing so fast right now. What are some trends and things people should be paying attention to?
Man, is that a loaded question or what? SEO has changed more in the past 3 years than it has in the previous 25 years combined. It's been a lot of fun watching it migrate over the past 3 years. And a lot of people are contending with, how do I do my job with AI? And that's hard enough. Incorporating and folding AI into every single job that exists out there. But now on the other side, the end product of what I do is also changing with AI. So it's not only what you produce, but it's also how you do it that's changing, which is fascinating for both sides of the equation. But to answer your question more directly, though, on the public end, the number one thing that's really been changing is not necessarily ChatGPT or any of the other AI engines, like taking away market share from Google. It's Google's response to their existence that has been the biggest change. And that is in the form of AI overview, where when you do a search, Google brings up this summary of basically what's going on for that informational query. It answers that question in a direct, concise way, and it gives you a series of links on the right that were the content that essentially made up that AI summary. Now, why the heck does this matter? Basically, that one bit has changed some of the value proposition for SEO. Bottom of funnel terms still pretty much operate the same way. If you've got money, Google can't take the money for whatever service. They don't sell cars. They don't sell corporate training. They don't generate leads directly. It's not like they generate lead forms for you on the website. They send you to the best result. They send you to other web pages. So you don't have to worry about those. But when it comes to informational queries, not to be confused with top of funnel, that could be a follow-up question if you want. But informational queries, those there are the ones that get hammered the most. You end up in a situation where for the past literally 15 years, the SEO formula for a lot of agencies too, because they've been able to productize this, is write blog, rank, collect emails and cookie and market the heck out of them so that you generate revenue. But all of that downstream stuff from the click is gone on those informational queries. So it's really shaken up how people approach that informational query lane and how they end up monetizing it.
Okay, let's just geek out. This is going to be so fun. I don't usually take notes, but I've been paying attention knowing the view is coming. And on some of the stuff you just talked about, I've noticed myself as a user not clicking the links. Now, if I'm looking for a service provider or a restaurant or somewhere I'm going to go, that's different. But like I was smoking salmon the other day, and that was a great example. That was like, hey, Traeger smoked salmon recipe. And it gave me the thing and I didn't click anything, right? I just scrolled through the AI overview and that was it. So I never ended up on any of the content that it pulled from. And I've probably done that a dozen times just in the last week where, again, for your informational queries, I've noticed I'm not engaging with the content, and it's great because then I don't end up on the menu website where we've all had the pain of having to find the actual recipes somewhere down the page. Like I don't have to do it. AI does it for me. The other thing I was going to point out I thought was interesting. I just updated the screensaver on my phone, and ChatGPT lets you do a short code now just to their app. And so I find myself now ending up in GPT even more than I already was for search queries that I usually would go to Google for. And I know you probably have stats on are they having an impact in people going off platform or not. But I know as a user, I would say 50% of my search queries now are not through Google. Like they're actually through GPT, and I'm engaging with it there, and then it will recommend a restaurant, and then I'll end up where through the link on the platform. So just some stuff I'm seeing and pushing back and saying, like, totally everything you just said, I feel it.
Yeah. No, and where we're at with that is, and how I've been advising folks is my role is to help my clients make money. That's the whole point of marketing. You need to generate the leads and find a path to revenue. Doesn't matter what the business is. So what I've been recommending to folks is pay attention to ChatGPT, pay attention to the various large language models, but don't jump yet. And here's why. When was the last time you had a Google strategy for a company? Probably quite a bit. A lot of other folks, now they all have Google strategies. Now, how about Bing? What's the Bing strategy? Not a lot of people have a dedicated Bing strategy. Guess what? ChatGPT gets less traffic than Bing. So the amount of people overall that are using ChatGPT is smaller than something we already pretty much ignore in the search community. Now, I'm not saying it's an ignorable thing because it's there and it's growing, but if you look at the trends over the past year, Google has grown worldwide the number of searches and number of users the same amount as the entire large language model market, ChatGPT included. So it's not though you have both sides of the coin demystified. There is no hockey stick growth that basically is sending the CEO of Google to hang out with Mike from MySpace. That's not happening. And Google is still just having record revenues during their last reporting. So from a money-making standpoint, and for what really matters, you're still focusing on Google, but you're watching the other stuff that's going on, because if it does start to shift, you need to shift with it.
Perfect. Thank you for reading between the lines. That's what we were looking for. I don't, because I know I'm asking, and as a user, I like to test everything, but that's not the bulk market. So talk to me about information query not as relevant to getting people to actually engage through your website to your content. What should the focus be then to get to gamify Google or play the game?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So there's the bottom of funnel stuff still operates pretty much the same. It's top of funnel, and in particular, informational based queries. And now this is where I separate informational from top of funnel. Many people merge those and just categorically call it top of funnel. But the top of funnel queries you want to be focusing on are answering questions along the user's journey. So for example, how much does it cost to write a book? How much does it cost? How long does it take to write a book? What topic should I write about? All the things along a user's journey that they would ask about, say, writing a book for a book writing company. That is, you want to answer all those questions. But where things go off the rails is when you start answering questions which are outside of that lane. So I'll give you an example in the insurance industry. You want to know how much insurance is, how long does it take it, how long does it last, can I cancel anytime, all those things that are along a user's journey to buy. But you could very conceivably see a insurance company writing about, let's say, car insurance, and they're writing about how long can I drive in a flat tire? How often should I get my oil changed? That's the example of an informational query, which doesn't have as much value. In the past, let's write it. Some of those people are going to need insurance. Let's see if we can collect an email. Let's cookie them. Let's get that brand impression and go. Now we don't look at that. We focus primarily on those types of content that are along the user's journey to purchase. Content that can be reused in email marketing campaigns, content that can be used in nurtures and in social media. So that's really where that content creation program has changed for a lot of folks. And if you do have any agency owners that are out there, because I think you're from that agency world, start honing in on getting off the blog treadmill. SEO no longer equals blog. Doesn't matter if you are an agency or if you are a company that is doing SEO, but it's really blogging. SEO is no longer blogging. And as an industry, SEO has leaned on blogging as a crutch for a very long time.
You work alongside a lot of companies. When you come into companies, can you highlight a few mistakes that are very common across the board, like things that you see them doing that are just not right?
Yeah, so improper use of AI content is a good one. I'm getting that a lot. And this is where there has been a change in the way some companies are approaching AI content. All generative AI is going to do is predict the next word, and it's going to give you the greatest hits of the existing research that's already out there. Google's going to see through that. You're not really creating anything new. You're not adding any value to the community. And a lot of that content that's just a remix, a rehash of what's already out there, it's just not performing. So I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of AI in the YMYL space, your money or your life. It's a specific categorization of companies that Google separates and says, if you can impact someone's life or someone's wallet, we're going to hold your content to a higher standard. Think medical websites. If you're giving advice on heart conditions, you need to be held to a higher standard, because if you write the wrong thing, someone could die. That's why they hold that to a higher standard. Now, if your content is just full auto AI, and Google can look at that with their algorithm and say, yeah, you're not even proofreading this, are they going to elevate your brand as a doctor website or a financial website and say, yes, I trust them? No. Large language models hallucinate. They sometimes get it wrong. So if you're just publishing tons of content on there, you could end up, even blacklisted, which I have had to bail a couple of companies out from a blacklisting standpoint. Now, I'm not going to pick on AI because there's a lot of great things with AI as well, but some non-AI things that I'm seeing, slow websites. You need to get your site somewhat fast. You don't have to get all the rankings in the green. I have what's called a no red, no errors policy, meaning the core web vitals, make sure nothing's in the red. Core web vitals is the thing in Google Search Console that measures the speed of the site. And then no errors. So no broken links and no broken images and things like that. Outside of that, you're not going to get a ton of value out of increased technical. I could keep going forever.
Yeah, I would say let's go there, because I had typed that question and then you started. So let me ask it. But I want to ask you specifically, is there a difference on the platform you build your website on? This is something I think we should geek out on a little bit, or maybe there's no relevance, but I'm hearing a lot of people, they're building inside of High Level, for example, or the GoDaddy website now, or the legacy WordPress or Squarespace or whatever. Does platform matter, or are there other metrics that matter when it comes to building your website?
Primarily, it doesn't matter. So the only thing you got to watch out for is there are a couple of older systems that inject copy through JavaScript. So those kind of JavaScript layered, I don't have to actually name any brands out of respect for those brands, but if you have a platform which is injecting JavaScript and grabbing that content dynamically and Google has trouble seeing it, it can't grade content it can't see. So that's going to put you behind the eight ball. But virtually every single other platform, you can optimize very well. And you can also horrifically mess up the templating and make it super slow. So by and large, it doesn't really matter on the platform. Just watch out for JS rendering.
Okay, perfect. So then let's go to tools. So you highlighted specifically for the website, checking for speed and errors. Are there any other tools people should be aware of to run their website through, or if they're the one managing the campaigns, tools they should be using?
Yeah, so Google Search Console is probably your number one go-to. You go in there, they've got this section called Core Web Vitals, and that's going to tell you the major factors on site speed and performance. There's a couple of other things like cumulative layout shift. That's another one. That's not really a speed thing. How much your website bounces around as it loads, because what they don't want to have happen is someone tries to put their finger on the phone in a certain spot and the button moves and now they're on a different page and they're not sure what's going on. Impacts user experience. Web Vitals in Google Search Console is probably number one. For more advanced users, I don't know what the SEO community is doing with naming these tools, but there's a great tool called Screaming Frog. It is a fantastic tool. Maybe not the best name, but it is funny to nerds like myself. But it does a great job of spidering through your site, and it also has an integration with Page Speed Insights, which will basically allow you to essentially get a spreadsheet of a page-by-page score, so you can grab all the lower performing ones, especially if they're pages that drive traffic and revenue, and go and optimize them. So those are my two go-to tools for page speed. I'm going to give you ones to avoid the platform style ones. So those big box SEO platforms, again, don't want to poke fun at any brands, but a lot of times we have this tool that you can use. They tend to be kind of not as useful as you would think. So Google Search Console, Screaming Frog.
Perfect. When it comes to the metrics, what should we be benchmarking when it comes to SEO campaigns? We should be looking at keyword ranking. We should be looking at what? Give me a metric rundown of what.
Yeah. So this has actually been one of those things that's changing. So I'm going to go through the classic stuff, and all the classic stuff is still readily available. Yes, AI overview exists, but there are a lot of people still scrolling down and clicking. And we want to make sure that we capitalize on that. At the top, rankings. Yes, I'm watching rankings. 2, I am looking at clicks. And I'm also looking at number of emails collected or revenue. Whatever that KPI is, I want to be able to tie my efforts to revenue. So whether it be what is an email worth, what is a lead worth for more of those lead gen heavy B2B plays, I'm trying to figure out what all that stuff is worth from a metric standpoint. What's new is impressions. And to be honest, impressions have been around for a long time. I categorically ignored them. I don't care about impressions. I'm from a person who hunts the money. I want the click. I want the email. I want the impression on the website, not on Google, so that I can cookie them and chase them around the internet for a dime with display ads. But this new world of informational queries has eliminated the clicks. So we need to be, as SEOs, nimble in the way that we look at things. So I am reporting on impressions in Google. Here's the why and the thing that makes it really interesting. There's an entire display marketing world out there that focuses on selling ads on something that's called CPM. Right? It's basically cost per 1,000 impressions. Guess what? What is a perfect analog for CPM? Monthly search volume. If you searched it, it's an impression on Google. Therefore, your body of key terms is a direct analog to CPM. So if you have 100,000 monthly search volume, all that really is 100 CPM. And now it's a matter of finding out from a monetization standpoint, how much is 100 CPM units worth in my industry? And on top of it, this isn't any normal CPM. You could go into Google and get the empty calorie stuff, basically, and just chase people around on any website. for about $4 to $5 per CPM. All right. So that would put that at about a $50,000 value, let's say, for the year. But when you get to specific genre sites that have a cluster of people who are your ideal customer profile, you'll pay 4 or 5 times that original $4 to $5 amount. Now, what is Google? Google has the internet stored within it, and it has sophisticated technology to summarize and be the expert in literally every topic on the planet. They have your ideal customer profile attached to every single search query. So if you're in insurance, average CPM in that world, probably about $30 per CPM. That's huge value that is being earned by creating content. That's how you purchase this stuff, and getting brand exposure alongside the AI overview. And that's how I've been monetizing in this new world of generative AI and AI overview within Google.
Let's create a snippet. I'd like to hear a couple of highlights on local versus national. So for those who are listening, in a lot of our audience, obviously in the national B2B larger market space, but for those who have physical locations that are a service-based, serve a small industry, what are some differences in how they approach SEO?
Yeah, I actually don't do a ton of local SEO. I'll give you a little bit of what I know, but that's an area because I deal primarily with mid-market to enterprise. So I'm not normally dealing with a lot of the smaller business, local business stuff. But Google My Business or Google Business Profile, that's going to be your number one stop for things that you want to do. You're going to want to make sure the profile's filled out fully. You're going to want to have good images in there. And then most importantly, out of all of it, you want reviews. You want it so that when people go and look up your brand, that you appear and are credible. So that would be my number one advice for some of those local folks. In terms of the national folk, there's just so much. The number one answer in SEO, and if you're an SEO nerd like me, you know the number one answer is it depends. There's just so many different ways that you could go about this, but the stock answer that I would say from a content perspective, make sure that you're fulfilling content that is along the customer's purchasing journey for any one of your products. Answer those questions. Make sure that you're monetizing it. Make sure you're getting an ROI. You need to show a path. I know that a lot of SEOs have trouble with this. There is a way. And that could be a follow-up question if we want to go down into that tangent. And then technical, no errors. Don't overthink it. I can't tell you how many people are wasting money on over optimizing their website. You don't need to. No red, no errors. Stop. And then the last kind of pillar, so that's content, technical, and then the last is authority. How much does the internet care about your brand? And this is a newer tactic that I'll throw in there. That is, large language models do a lot of summarization. So one of the newest, especially on the B2B side, kind of customer journey when they're researching about you, they're going to have those high level, top of funnel informational queries. So they start typing those in Google. They don't click your site. They just read what's there. If you're not on the right-hand panel earning those citations, your brand is invisible. So that's issue number one. Now, I want to do some deep research. I want to figure out what is the best vendor for this. Now, I could go and do a bunch of search queries the old-fashioned way and do it myself. Or I could just go to ChatGPT and have it do the research for me. Because that's one of the first things it does. It says, searching the internet, that it goes out to a bunch of sites, brings in the data for you, and does the research for you. So I could see a lot of people going to something like Chat to have a conversation with AI to say, what are the reviews? Who are the best vendors? What are the differences? Generate a table that shows me the differences between these vendors. Notice I still haven't visited a website yet. All right. And you need to be cited in those. So how do you do that? You Google search best fill in the blank product, best fill in the blank service. Look at those websites. And if you're not there, well, guess what? You can't be pulled to be summarized. It's not a function of trying to figure out the magic world of AI. It's not magic. It just summarizes what it sees. And if you're not there, then you don't get summarized for it. So that is one of the things that I've been doing a lot of targeting with, is going in there and figuring out what websites are going to be in that mid-funnel journey, that consideration phase, that research phase, that's going to determine whether or not they're going to go with me. And then after they've done that kind of ChatGPT profile and they figured out what they want to buy, they do a direct search query, brand name, you could search, and then you come up. Now, if you didn't put in the work to be an AI overview, you were invisible. If you didn't put in the work to manage your public profile by going after best fill in the blank, top fill in the blank, best reviewed fill in the blank, best categories for in that fill in the blank, and you're invisible there, guess what? Nobody chooses an invisible company. You have to play in those games. Otherwise, you're not going to be in consideration. And yes, the clicks are gone. Boo-hoo. A lot of that is happening with a lot of the corporate world. But the thing is, people are still buying stuff. They're buying cars. They're going on vacation. They're purchasing corporate training. They're having books written. It doesn't matter what the thing is. The money is still flowing. It's how people are learning and researching that is different. And you need to be visible.
Let's talk about, and you've highlighted it a dozen times probably already. I feel, and I know this is something I preach in presentations, and I still tell college kids and business owners, you got to go do the searches, right? So you've highlighted what's your customer journey. And you've talked about top of funnel. You've talked about the research phase and then the decision-making phase, and, which queries are there. But I want you to yell at the business owner for a minute, or the person managing these campaigns. Like, you need to go play on the platforms and you need to actually figure out what's showing up, because that's what I'm hearing a lot of is, are you even aware of what's changing? Have you gone in to figure out what's showing up? Like, I really want people to hear that. So how often are you searching and just paying attention to what's showing up and digging into your clients and brands and seeing what's changing?
The short answer is daily or weekly, depending on what's going on. At the very least, I have weekly, and I have a what's twitched. I call it what's twitched. So when I look at graphs and charts, a lot of times it doesn't really matter. You go a little oscillation here and there. What I'm looking for is, did something fall to the floor, or did something spike up to the moon? So every week I'm looking at that at a minimum across virtually every single stat that I'm looking at. So I have a link for every one of my clients for impressions, major campaigns, and categorizations of keywords for rankings. I'm looking at traffic. I'm looking at KPIs, looking at revenue. So these are things that I'm looking at all the time. When it comes to those, what people are doing to look at my brand or brand reputation management, it's a project and a discussion I'm talking about with everybody. Google reviews has always been important. Managing your public profile has always been important, but now it's doubly important, because instead of being in the search results where your brand would be mixed in with others, you end up in a situation now where ChatGPT is just summarizing in its objective way the content that already exists. So if you're not even in those pages, it doesn't matter if you're mixed into the SERP, it's going to go over. And then the other thing that I'll pivot a little bit towards is this whole notion of where search is going and all that type of stuff. And let's say Google went away tomorrow, or Google replaced the blue link stuff, all the links gone, and they just give you AI, their Google AI, which you can go in, and it's a similar interface to a lot of the others. Guess what? All that means is the search database that it's using to automate your labor is invisible. It's still there. They still need to catalog the internet. They still need to download the internet. They still need to grade the internet and figure out what a quality result is. It's just the open book test of saying, hey, am I still first? Is now a little more squishy and invisible. Now, I'm not saying that's going to go away. Google's still around and it's going to be around for many years, but it's just a matter of how much AI in AI summary and AI integration there is versus the 10 blue link, and how much data will be publicly available for us to use to lean on. But even if the data went away tomorrow, it's still going to be in the back end, automated and invisible. So all those best practices we're always doing, no red, no errors, answering the questions along the user journey, making sure that you are as close to the best result possible for a particular search term, all still extremely valuable, even if you take that database offline tomorrow.
You talked about authority. I want to go down the links on-site, link off-site. How important is linking? I know we've been through multiple phases in the journey of SEO, of it being highly critical and semi-irrelevant. And so to geek out on links, should people pay attention to where their website's listed? Does the internal link structure matter? Wherever you want to go with links, just talk to me about that for a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So are links important? Yes. Are they? All right. So I'm going to go small, medium, large. Small company, brand new, just starting out, doing some base marketing. Not a lot of people know you. You do need to pay attention to links just so that Google can recognize that you're an authority on a topic. Now, you don't buy links. You don't get spam links. You earn links with good marketing. You could do a little bit of cross-linking. You could do a little bit of guest post blogging, but Google's starting to frown on that stuff as of late. What really generates links is good marketing. Have something that's worthy of being linked to. So that's number one. Create good quality content. You get rewarded for it over and over again. You share it with your audience. You share it with the public. You get those links back. People engage with it. It works. Mid-level. You've got enough links that the world basically is then your credible authority. I typically don't start any major link building campaigns unless there's a special circumstance. So, for example, one of the special circumstances would be if you are in banking, let's say, and you are in 20 states and you really lean on checking accounts in Massachusetts or checking accounts in Nevada as a keyword that you want to be going after, or people have what are the banking rules for small businesses in Massachusetts? Having links within local regions or review sites within local regions are more valuable today than they have been in the past. So that would be one of those special circumstances that I would go after. Another reason why it matters is because ChatGPT is also location aware. It reads your IP address, and if it feels your question merits location-centric copy, it will actually generate you location-centric copy. Going back to your example of what restaurant should I eat out at, it's not going to give you something in Massachusetts and me something in Nevada. It's going to flip it for us, thankfully. And then enterprise folks, unless you have a problem, you don't need to be worried about linking. Your good quality marketing is going to carry any type of linking profile. And it's going to be about the content. It's going to be about the quality. You're already an authority. You don't need to prove you're even more of an authority. It's going to be the quality of what you have to say that Google is going to prioritize.
Perfect. Let's circle back to the path to revenue. Gary's been giving me some questions in the chat, and one of them's, how does the business owner or the person managing a campaign benchmark success? And I think the answer to that is to tie back to the path to revenue. So let's go there. How do we benchmark success for all of this work and the stuff we're doing?
Yeah. So every campaign that you have should have some type of mission or goal. And a lot of times, yes, it has been driving right back to revenue. A lot of times you can get average order value or average sale value. It doesn't matter if it's enterprise, B2B, or a consumer good. You can generally get a cost per lead or value per lead or something along those lines and map it to a KPI on a website. So this is going to help you with those bottom of funnel terms, those consideration terms, any links that you get from large language models. You're going to be able to figure out and monetize all of that. when it comes to those informational style queries, I'm right back to that CPM thing. And I haven't even seen this on the market yet. I don't think anybody's talking about CPM and using this an analog for monthly search volume. Not seeing that in the SEO community yet. It's going to happen because there is value in that, in having your logo, your brand alongside the answer over on Google. So I could see that really starting to take hold in the near future as a standard in SEO. And that is how I would monetize that top of funnel. You don't have to go out and buy it. You don't have to find all these websites. Google's got it right there for you. And bonus, you can reuse this content in all of your marketing.
Let's talk highly competitive, enterprise level, big players, lots of stuff going on. How the hell do you differentiate? Like, what should they be doing? Just do everything you said perfectly, or are there some other strategies when it's that competitive?
Good old SEO answer. It depends. And it does depend based on the situation. With any big market, there's generally only a couple, 2 or 3 that are big players. And not all 3 of them are going to likely hold SEO in as much regard as, say, the other 2 or 3. Just take a look at the big auto companies. You always see the big 3. It's very similar in almost every industry. And usually the one that spends the most money, take SEO the most serious, it's typically the one that's going to win. And I've been on both sides of the equation there. Where things get interesting is how can the mid-market find a strategy to take down the bigger folks? And that's a function of choosing the topics, the words, the targeting. Going back to that banking model, you've got big banks that are national, and then you have small regional banks. So using regionalized terms where people care about putting money back into their local community is within their messaging, within their mission in terms of a bank and a community leader. But it also happens to generate revenue too, because people are looking for that. So a lot of times targeting and the style of content is going to be the thing that wins out even against a larger competitor.
Now, talk to the person managing these campaigns, because I know something I want them to hear if they've listened all day. They got a couple nuggets from you, is you're not coming in to replace them. You're coming in to work alongside them. So talk about how you work with people inside of companies and the services you bring to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the organizations I work with, in fact, I only work exclusively with organizations that have an in-house marketing team and, even better yet, in-house SEO team. And what I end up doing is I bring in that width of knowledge from an SEO perspective and merge that with their depth of vertical knowledge. So what do I mean by that? I just got off of a project not too long ago, about 6 months ago at this point, where I helped architect an SEO strategy to merge 7 enterprise websites, totaling about 3.5 million pages of content. And we successfully migrated all of the keywords, all of the ranking, and all of the revenue, one website at a time, within 7 days each. 7 days, all of it filtered through. Now, it doesn't matter how much experience you have as an in-house SEO. It doesn't matter how much depth of knowledge you have within your vertical. You are not going to go through that merging exercise. You're going to do it once in your career. And you don't want to be, it's the first time you're doing something. You might want to have a second opinion on something that's that important. Now, do I have the same vertical knowledge that my clients have? I work in automotive, I work in corporate training, I work in insurance, I work in banking, I work in medical. I can't be an expert at all those things, but I do know how to merge a lot of pages together. I do know how to architect a global SEO strategy. I do know how to do those things that are more those one-off strategies that can help you build a team, mentor a team, and leverage the depth of vertical knowledge that you have within your organization. So I've never really ran into a situation where I've had a lot of resistance, because I'm bringing in an entirely different skill set to solve a problem that they've never had to face.
Love it. How can people follow up with you? What's the best way to engage with Jason and reach out to you if they want to further this conversation?
Yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best. If you just looked up Jason Gates, Endgame Marketing, that's my company, Endgame Marketing. Sounds bigger than it is, but it's just me in the basement. But yeah, just look me up on LinkedIn, say hi. And even if you just got a question or a puzzle to solve, Devin knows I'll just have a call with you just to solve the puzzle for fun.
I will validate that. I've sent some people to Jason, especially people who are playing in this online marketing digital space, and just said, hey, I want to be the guy that does it. So go talk to consultants. Because what's great, Jason, and I've always appreciated this, is you're going to ground it on fact. You're going to give people options. You're going to give them warnings and red flags. But at the end of the day, let people do their thing. And I know you will drive value. That is a true statement. Jason and I have been doing a whole lot together. So, man, what haven't we talked about? Any last nuggets, words of wisdom, anything else you want to hit before we wrap up?
No, it's changing. This SEO world is changing significantly. And there's a lot of ways that we could take this. I'd even like to throw a future bit if we have a bonus question after this. But my number one advice that I would give to folks is watch the market, watch what it's doing, watch where it's going, but focus on the money. The money's at Google right now. The money's going to be at Google for the next 6 to 12 months at least. All right. There is no earth-shattering thing that is causing a trajectory of hockey stick for any vendor except Google. So the money's at Google, focus on the money, but watch the trends in case it starts to shift out from under you.
Love it. All right. You teased it. So talk to you about the future. We got to go there then and we'll wrap up.
All right. There are many ways organic search in the internet could morph into. And I could see a world where even the bottom of funnel is owned by Google. All right. So Google is going to need to monetize the bottom of funnel. All right. Or they're going to need to monetize all the large language model AI-driven stuff. It's tougher when you don't have blue links to tuck in all over the place. So what is AI doing right now? It's generating a result. It's generating you, in a sense, a dynamic web page. So what do web pages that have content in and around an answer generally do? There's an entire model for this in SEO called rank and rent. You rank a page and you rent out space on it for affiliate marketing. I could see Google or ChatGPT monetizing it by basically saying, yeah, my website is an expert in everything. And if you would like to have space on my site from an affiliate standpoint, you're welcome to be here for it. And it basically turns Google or any other, whatever engine does this first, into an everything affiliate website. And I think somebody's going to do it. I don't know where it's going to go, but that is a real possibility, and it should be fascinating. That will be a game changer if that product ever gets built.
All right, let's stop there because that's fun and going to make people's brains explode. Jason, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the time, the knowledge, the wisdom. It's always a fun conversation.
Thank you for having me.